Well, hello once again. Thank you for tuning in to the Dragon Within Saga weekly video blog, where we get to talk about more topics related to the book and maybe some metaphors and overall implications. And we're continuing on in a character series that we're doing, and this would be the third one, and I had just talked about 2 episodes ago Drin Martos, the narrator, and last week we got into a lot of interesting things when we talked about Jessalyn and his symbolization and metaphors too. And this week we're going to be talking about the brother and sister hunters of Ronialdin and Zyndalia Derius. It's funny, people always ask me where I get my inspiration for my characters, or they ask me, do a lot of inspiration of your characters come from your real life? And in fact they do, and the same is true for these two. So Ronialdin, the name came from my oldest son, Ronialdin is not his name, but his favorite soccer player is Cristiano Ronaldo. So I created a name out of that, a little bit medieval sounding name, and came up with Ronialdin. And then for Zyndalia, that's the name of my little 7-year-old daughter that she uses when we go to Renaissance festivals together. I am, of course, Erebeth, and she's Zyndalia. So I kind of loosely patterned the characters after both of them. Now, keep in mind that in the book, Ronialdin is 22 and Zyndalia is 16. My daughter's still 7 years old, so there's a bit of a difference there. But at least some of the characters are patterned after him. You know, they both really like wolves, and they both really like the bow and arrow. So it's kind of some traits there. But so they're brother and sister, and in the story, and they're hunters and trappers. And in the books, they've lived alone with their mother for most of their lives, because their father was tragically killed in a, I guess you'd call it a hunting accident, but it was really an instruction accident. You see, one of the first hunts that Ronialdin's father took him on, just those two alone, he was instructing Roni how to shoot a bow at a specific target, and Roni missed. But what they didn't see is that behind all the shrubs and through the trees is that there was a bear. And Roni ended up hitting the bear accidentally. The bear came crashing out of the forest, and as any father would do, he stood, Roni's father stood and tried to fight the bear so Roni could escape, which he did. However, the father did not. So from a very young age, Roni had to bear that guilt of being the reason why his father had died, and it really weighed on his psyche and informed into his identity and developed into a fanatical development of his archery and bow skills, because in essence, if Roni hadn't missed the target, if he hadn't missed, the father would still be alive. And also that created a bit more within him, not growing up with his father, seeing him die because of a tragic accident, Roni created this, pedestal that he put his father upon, and never believed, no matter how well he did, or how his tracking skills improved, or how his archery skills improved, quite literally to the mastery level, that he would never be his father's equal in anything he did. And adding to that guilt, another layer is Roni felt so guilty that his younger sister, Zyndalia, didn't have a father, that Roni unfortunately tried to fill that gap and stopped being a brother to her and tried to be more of a father figure, which he was never meant to be. And Zyndalia, that's all she ever wanted from Roni, was for him to be her sister, her brother. But he never was, because of that guilt in him. And that naturally pitted the two kind of against each other, because Roni just wanted the best for Zyndalia. But to get that, you had to do things his way, which was his father's way. But Zyndalia is a very different type of person than that. She's very intuitive, and in the book it explains that her archery skills come from a natural ability to sense, what she describes as vibrations in the world, that when, her bow aligns with the vibration of her target, she knows it's on and she's going to hit. Whereas Roni doesn't quite have that internal sense, at least not on that level, at least not yet. It's developing, maybe in book 3 we'll see it, but he's learning. So it kind of pits them against each other, but they both have the same intention of being great for each other. They just do it in very different ways. So Zyndalia ends up pushing back a lot against her brother and his instruction, and kind of brushes off some of his teachings, which, if she applied his teachings, she'd be phenomenal. She already has natural talent, but her level would surpass anything else in the bow if she applied even a portion of his dedication to the craft for mastering all the other non-intuitive aspects of the bow, such as wind resistance and depth and all the other stuff too. So they have kind of a bit of resistance between them, right? However, because they're going on this journey together to find a new home, they're going to start learning more about each other, and they're going to start appreciating each other's differences and really seeing each other for who they are, and on an intentional level. And I think that gives them a great opportunity to develop. Now, it takes some time, as all things do, but they'll get to see each other and they'll get to know. So it'll be interesting to watch them in Convergence and in Bloodless as well. So that's kind of the basic generation or genesis of those two characters. They're going to interact with themselves. They become part of mercenaries. They get to grow, and where they fit into the story is a bit vague at the beginning, because in the beginning of Convergence, and this spoiler alerts, by the way, I forgot to mention that at the beginning of the video, but you're going to get spoiled. So you're watching a video blog about a series, so you gotta know there's going to be spoilers, right? So in the beginning of the book, we find out that they're part of something called the Hunt. And we find that out because an angel visits their mother and says that they have to leave because they're going to die in about 2 weeks, right? So, but they can't, because they're integral to whatever this hunt is called. So we learn about them, that they're part of something called the Hunt, and that this hunt is divinely linked to angels and therefore directly to God. So Roni and Zyn's purpose is directly linked to God. We don't really find out what the Hunt is until later on, probably most notably in Book 2, Bloodless. But throughout Convergence, we see that Roni and Zyn are linked on a spiritual level to two wolf pups they find. And they have, their physical abilities get enhanced because of this, greater speed, endurance, strength to a certain degree. They actually begin experiencing a little bit of a pack mind that these wolf pups have, and there's kind of a question as to what these wolves actually are. Are they dire wolves, or are they some other kind of wolf? We don't really find that out just yet, but we know there's something special about them. And then the wolves actually become integral in a couple aspects of Convergence, helping Roni get saved and Zyndalia get saved from goblins. And in that cave, there's a very pivotal moment for Ronialdin. His sister suspended over a cave in a cage, and he has to save her, and he's also going to save someone else, but he has to save her too. And unfortunately, the locking mechanism is such that he has to take a shot, and he has to shoot a string or a rope that's suspending the cage in order for the cage to slide down and be safe. But he can't do it unless that locking mechanism is unengaged, because if it's engaged, she'll fall the other way. If it's not engaged, she'll go towards safety, right? So this is really a shot of beginning of redemption for Roni, right? Because he missed a shot and his father died. If he misses this shot, so does his sister. So it's really, if he makes it, she can live. And that's a very pivotal moment for him. Not the only one, but a very pivotal moment. Obviously, he makes the shot, though. But I think it's a great chapter. I enjoyed it. And that's the beginning of these two characters. I mean, we find out that they progress in their abilities and power more as we progress into Convergence, and more as we go into Bloodless. And I'll have to talk about these two later on, because there's so much in these characters. And so much more of the Hunt that we don't even know about yet. And the Hunt is actually going to be a topic for a different video blog, so I'm not going to go into a lot of that now. It'll have to be later when I talk about some other big topics of the book and big, I guess, aspects of it. But I'm going to end it there with about Roni and Zyn. so much about him. We get to see him develop so much, and they're two of my favorite characters in the book. Oddly enough, patterned after two of my kids, so why wouldn't they be, right? Yeah, so thanks for tuning in this week. I appreciate it. Next week, we're going to hear about Entelos, the Grand Wizard, the University of Knowledge, and the High Wizard of the Council of Wizards. And he's an extremely interesting story, too. We'll get into a little bit more of him when we start off next time. So until then, thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share if you want. Definitely visit my website if you like this. You hear about the books. You can buy the books right from my website. The links will be on the novel or the poetry page. So I appreciate you coming in and tuning in and listening to me talk and ramble on about my high fantasy series, the Dragon Within Saga. Until next time, have a great day and have lots of joy in your life, and always remember to release your dragon within. Thank you.